up, guys, and welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you another 2020 NCAA Tournament update. We have made it through the opening weekend of this year's tournament, which means the Sweet 16 is finally set. So let's go ahead and take a look at those 16 teams and how the round of 32 played out. We're going to start like we always do in the Midwest region. And if you watched our round of 64 video, you heard us say that the South region was the region of upsets. Out of the 8 games played there, 4 of them were won by the team with the lower seed. Well, that was the case in the round of 32 for the Midwest region. And we'll start with number 1 overall seed Kansas taking on 9th seeded LSU. And right off the bat, we have our first major upset. The LSU Tigers just took down the Kansas Jayhawks 84-76, and LSU will be advancing to the Sweet 16 for the second year in a row under Will Wade. The Tigers, they came out hot, they could not miss, and Kansas came out way too sluggish, and by the time they woke up, it was too late for them. We've seen Kansas fall way short of expectations before, and they do it again here in 2020. So 9th seeded LSU in the Sweet 16, they will be facing off against the 5th seeded Ohio State Buckeyes, who won in a somewhat mini upset over 4th seeded Butler 71-59. A comfortable win there for Ohio State, a team that, as we mentioned, started hot, struggled through the middle of the season, got hot again towards the end of the year, and we're seeing that now in this year's tournament. Caleb Wesson leading the way for the Buckeyes with 26 points. They will be slightly favored in that game against LSU in the Sweet 16, but it absolutely will be a fun one. Right below that, we had a 3 versus 11 matchup as Duke was taking on Arkansas in our rematch of the 1994 National Championship. And just like we've seen all throughout the Midwest, we had yet another upset. The 11th seeded Arkansas Razorbacks upended the Duke Blue Devils 73-70. This was one that I really don't think anybody saw coming. An Arkansas team that, as we mentioned, is yes, undersized, but is not undersized when it comes to heart, effort, and especially shooting. The Razorbacks were hot against the Blue Devils. Isaiah Jones and Mason Jones combining for 33 of Arkansas' 73 points. And the Razorbacks are headed to the Sweet 16 to take on not Creighton, but Michigan. So guys, you can see in the Midwest, in the round of 32, the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds all lost. The Wolverines defeating the Blue Jays 82-81 on clutch free throws from Eli Brooks with just 4 seconds left. Michigan beating Creighton for the second time this year, defeating the Blue Jays back in November 79-69. So Arkansas, Michigan, LSU, Ohio State, they are in the Sweet 16 out of the Midwest region. I guarantee nobody had those 4 teams when they picked their brackets. Moving on to the South region now, we take a look at Baylor versus Colorado, another 1 versus 9 matchup. We said the South had tons of upsets in the round of 64. They did not have as many in the round of 32. Baylor was able to take care of the Buffalo 66-55 despite 17 turnovers. But what the biggest difference in this game was for the Bears was the fact they hit 10 three-pointers against the Buffaloes. 10 three-pointers against Colorado was the difference maker. It made up for those turnovers and that sloppy start. Baylor, a 1 seed, one of the few remaining, advancing to the Sweet 16. They will be taking on Wisconsin, who defeated the Villanova Wildcats 62-54. Baylor committed a bunch of turnovers. Wisconsin forced a bunch of turnovers. They forced 13 against the Wildcats and shot 93% from the free throw line. Once again, guys, we mentioned it with the games being played in the opening round. We mentioned it again here in the round of 32. Free throws are key. Eli Brooks at Michigan, he knows it. As we progress through the rest of these games, you will see how important they are. But Wisconsin coming through clutch at the line, defeating Villanova for the second time in the past few tournaments. If you recall, Wisconsin did that against the number 1 Villanova Wildcats a few years ago as an 8 seed. So the Badgers advancing to play Baylor. Right below them, we had an 11 seed versus a 14 seed, guys. UCLA versus UALR, Little Rock, out of the Sun Belt. So 11 seed or a 14 seed was going to be in the Sweet 16. And it's going to be an 11 seed that advances to the next round. You know, Little Rock, a phenomenal run. They upset Seton Hall, the 3 seed in the South region. And they did that by getting hot and jumping out to an early 10-0 lead. UCLA gave them a taste of their own medicine. The Bruins jumping out to an early 10-0 lead. The Trojans hit just 2 3-pointers, shot 32% from the field, and UCLA advances to the Sweet 16 after barely sneaking into the tournament with a 68-47 win over Little Rock. And the Bruins, they will be facing off against Florida State, the 2 seed out of the South, who defeated Indiana 88-84, getting a little bit of revenge from their loss earlier in the season against the Hoosiers. A very high-scoring game, a very close game, one that saw tons of lead changes within the final 3 minutes, but it's the Seminoles that will be advancing to the next round and not Indiana, who, like UCLA, like Arkansas, had a phenomenal run for a team that just barely snuck into this year's field. Moving across the bracket, we go to the East region, starting with the 1 seed over there, taking on St. Mary's. Dayton escapes the Gales 75-74. Despite shooting 50% from the field, which is pretty dang good shooting from the field, Dayton was only able to escape by 1 point. And if you remember, they faced off against Siena in the round of 64, only won by 9. Escaped St. Mary's, only winning by 1. Obi Toppin leading the way with 16 points, but will Dayton have enough to get past Virginia, who defeated the 4-seeded Louisville Cardinals 61-53 in an ACC battle in this year's round of 32. We know Virginia plays a very stout defense, and we saw that holding the Cardinals to just 53 points. We know they don't score a lot of points either, so it'll be very interesting to see the contrast in styles as they face off against the Flyers in the Sweet 16. We had a 3 versus 11 matchup once again in the East region as Michigan State was taking on Texas. Shaka Smart getting his Longhorns into the first 4 in. They played in the first 4 matchup against North Carolina State, won that game, upset BYU, but were unable to upset the Spartans out of the Big Ten. Michigan State shooting 48% from the field, hit 7 3-pointers to Texas's 3 3-pointers, and Michigan State defeats the Longhorns 72-55. But I will tell you this, that little run from Texas was enough to get Shaka Smart's name off of the hot seat going into the upcoming season. What a run from the Longhorns, just fell just short in the round of 32. And the Spartans of Michigan State will be facing off against the winner of that 2-7 matchup between Kentucky and Rutgers, and it will be not a Big Ten rematch against the Scarlet Knights, but a rematch of an early season meeting against the Wildcats of Kentucky. Kentucky defeating Rutgers 76-70. Once again, a phenomenal run from the Scarlet Knights, a team that made their first tournament appearance since 1991, won their first tournament game since 1983. But the big storyline in this one, guys, it was a 6-point defeat for the Scarlet Knights. Rutgers missed 6 free throws. They missed 6 free throws. And you can't help but wonder, had they made all 6, had the game gone to overtime, would we be seeing Michigan State taking on the 7th-seeded Scarlet Knights, or would we still be watching them take on the Wildcats? Free throws, once again, such a big role. So important for every single team when you get to March. And that rounds out our East region, guys, the 4 teams that will be in the Sweet 16 there. We move on down to the West region, another 1 versus 9 matchups. The 9 seeds doing very, very good this year, winning 3 of the 4 8 versus 9 matchups. And the 9 seed, once again, pulling off one of the biggest upsets of this NCAA tournament. Oklahoma, a team that came into the NCAA tournament with just 19 wins, takes down the mighty Gonzaga Bulldogs 79-74. A Sooners team that shot 48% from the field. Brady Manek, Austin Reeves, Christian Doolittle all combining for 49 of Oklahoma's 79 points. That's 62% of their points. coming from just 3 players. Oklahoma did phenomenal defensively, did phenomenal scoring through these 3 players. They are going to the Sweet 16. Lon Kruger doing a phenomenal job. Not many people thought they should be in this tournament, but by beating the Bulldogs, by beating USC in the first round, by getting to the Sweet 16, they are proving that this was not a fluke, that the Sooners should be taken seriously, and we can only hope that the Maryland Terrapins will be taking the Sooners seriously. Maryland, the 4 seed, taking down Auburn 73-65. The Terrapins were hot, and I mean hot, shooting 51% from the field, while Auburn is a team that relies so heavily on their 3-point shooting, shot just 5 of 16 from 3-point range. Maryland advances with an 8-point victory to set up a 4 versus 9 matchup in the Western Region Sweet 16. Right below them, we had a 3 versus 6 matchup as Oregon was taking on Penn State, the 6th seed, finally getting to the NCAA Tournament under Pat Chambers. And it was the Ducks that will be advancing with a 69-56 victory over the Nittany Lions. Very questionable games here. First off, you have to praise Oregon for what they did against Lamar Stevens. Arguably one of the better players in the entire Big Ten. Oregon held Stevens to just 9 points in that 13-point victory. But Penn State only had 7 free throw attempts, while Oregon had 22, more than triple the amount that Penn State had. And you can't help but wonder, yes, it was a 13-point game, but had Penn State had maybe 10 more free throw attempts and had they converted on those free throws, would the Nittany Lions possibly be playing in the Sweet 16? So once again, we have our first little bit of controversy there. You usually don't see that big of a discrepancy in terms of attempts from the line, but nonetheless, Dana Altman gets his Ducks back to the Sweet 16, and they will be taking on a very dangerous San Diego State Aztec squad who got past Bobby Hurley's Arizona State Sun Devils 68-53. The Aztecs had 4 players scoring in double digits in this 15-point victory, setting up a fantastic 2 versus 3 showdown between a large, defensive-minded San Diego State team going up against an Oregon team led by Peyton Pritchard that definitely knows how to light it up when they get hot. So ladies and gentlemen, this is your 2020 NCAA Tournament Sweet 16. Tons of upset, unprecedented upsets, things that we never thought possible, but once again, that's what makes March Madness so great. So make sure you're staying tuned because, ladies and gentlemen, starting with the Sweet 16, we are going to do everything in our power to post and or stream these Sweet 16 games. You will actually be able to watch the games. Pure simulations, of course, so we do not want you to miss out on that. During these times right now, we are learning to take anything that is considered sports. We would love for you to watch our Sweet 16 videos all the way up until the championship as well, getting a little bit of basketball action in what has been a wild tournament so far. So once again, guys, we want to thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert. Do not miss any further comments or content and updates coming to you from this tournament and coming here on this channel. So make sure to please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on the Gridiron Expert.